In this video, I'm gonna tell you 5 of my biggest money regrets I've ever made in the hopes that you don't make the same ones. What's up guys, welcome back. My name is Brad. I make videos with tips and motivation on how to get out of debt, how to stay positive and live a more happy, fulfilling life. If that sounds like something that can make your life better, consider subscribing and hit that bell notification so you get told every single time I release a video or go live. Today, I want to talk about the 5 biggest money regrets I've ever made. I'm about to be 37 years old, so I've had a lot of time to make stupid decisions with money. And now, looking back, I wish I could go back and not make these same mistakes again. If you are a young person that's watching this video, please listen. Even if you take one of the 5 tips and use it in your life will be much better financially. And if you're a little bit older like me, you're probably shaking your head agreeing with me on some of these. I got a couple of cliche mistakes that I've made that you hear over and over again, and I also got some ones that are pretty unique to me. Mistake number 1, going to a brand name private college. Now you hear about student loan debt all the time, but my wife and I, we both had opportunities to go to less expensive colleges, but opted to go to private schools as well. For example, my wife had an academic and athletic scholarship to go to a school, and she could have got her degree and her master's for free. No money. She could have walked out with a master's degree with 0 student loan debt. But she always had a dream of going to a big fancy school like Columbia, so when she applied and got in, she figured, I have to go. And we always justified it to ourselves as saying, you know, she was following her dreams and doing something like that. But she'll even say herself right now, some dreams are stupid dreams. And we look back at that $120,000 master's degree that she got and know that if she would have been happy with the small school that she was at, we would be $120,000 less in debt. And in fact, today, we'd have no debt at all because that's really the only one left. Please look around, guys. State schools are an awesome opportunity and a less expensive way to get a college degree. Granted, if you're gonna go to an Ivy League school, good for you. Or if you have somebody that's gonna help you pay for college, go ahead. But don't go to a school just to wear the sweatshirt. I promise you, when you get later in life, you are gonna regret that so much if you have to pay student loans for them. Regret number 2 also has to deal with college, and this is taking out the max allowable student loan. When I went to school, I took out a loan, and that loan should have covered tuition, room and board, and maybe some books. But when I filled out the paperwork, they gave me how much I was eligible to get, which far exceeded room and board, textbooks, and tuition. So instead of being like, hey, I'm going to take what I need, I looked at the perspective like, oh man, look at all of the money that I'm about to have. And the worst part was I had a job in college. I had an income. I didn't need money to live. But I just said to myself, YOLO, I'll pay that off later in life. 15 years from now, I'll just pay it back when I have a big job. Well, I have a big job now. It's 15 years later, and I wish that because I took student loans, I would not have taken the maximum amount. If you are going to take a student loan, and that is a huge if, please don't. But I know some people do. Only take what you need. And if you've already done your student loans, use that philosophy in life. Only spend the money that you need. Live within your means, and financially, you will be much more successful in the end. Third tip is the good old automobile debt. And for me, it wasn't that I bought a brand new car and then had a loan and had all this debt. I was smart with my money because my father told me early on that if I wanted to drive, I needed to save up for insurance and things like that. When I was 22 years old, I bought a car and it was brand new. And I did take a small loan out on it, but I cash flowed almost 75% of that car. Well, a couple years later, I had no payments whatsoever and I had a paid off car. And then even years later down the road, I married my wife and she had a paid off car as well. We had 2 perfectly operating cars in our driveways. But when we got fancy jobs and we had a higher income, we said, let's go out and buy new cars. So one of my biggest regrets money-wise is we both traded in our cars for way below what they were worth and then took out loans for 2 more brand new vehicles that up until last October, we were both paying for 3 years later. My fourth tip has to do with buying a home. When I bought a home, I thought to myself, like most Americans do, can I afford the payment? I looked for options and I put money down so that I could afford the monthly payment, not afford the house. And this led to the dreaded PMI, private mortgage insurance. If you subscribe to me, you know how much PMI really makes my blood boil. I talk about it all the time, and as an adult, it is something that will come back to haunt you so bad. But my biggest regret was not the fact that I didn't put a lot of money down. My biggest regret is that I had the income to save up for the 20% to put down. I saved up money to be able to do the closing costs and put the minimum amount down so quickly that if I would have just waited 8 or 9 more months, I really could have put 20% down on the house and not been paying $451 every single month to PMI. That would be almost 8, it's only 8 months to wait. I've been in baby step 2 now for 17 months. It's been a grind. And all I had to do to avoid PMI was wait 8 more months with the income that I had. And I was living in a wonderful place with relatively small rent. It could have been done. I hate the fact and regret so much that I didn't just wait 8 or 9 or even 1 more year to raise the 20% to put down on a house. You may not want to hear it, but if you can't put 20% down on your house, you cannot afford that house. And my fifth regret was blowing my grandmother's inheritance on things that I did not need. When my grandmother passed away, I got a large inheritance from her. I was so blessed. But this was the first time I looked down at such a large sum of money, and I really was not emotionally mature enough to handle it, especially during this mourning process. And the biggest regret for me is looking back on it. I knew that I wanted to put some money onto debt. I knew in my gut that I had this money and I should put it towards my debts, especially because my grandmother was a co-signer on one of my student loans. But then I did what we all do. I listened to broke people. I listened to my friends. I listened to my family. I listened to my father tell me that grandma was a traveler. She would want you to travel with that money. She wouldn't want you to use that money on bills. Guys, student loans and consumer debt are not bills. They are former stupid decisions that you made that you need to get out of quickly because they are holding back your opportunity to grow wealth. If I could go back right now, there is no question every single cent that I got from my grandmother would have went to paying off debt. And right now, today, if I would have done that, I would be debt free and I would be able to do all the things that I did with her money and go on vacation and not have the burden of debt weighing me down every single day. The bright side of it is, if I ever get an inheritance ever again from anybody else, I know exactly where that money's going, especially if I'm still in debt. Guys, drop down in the comments below. Tell me some of your big regrets. This topic came up with my talk from Lydia Sen. I'll post that video above. We got together. She had some incredible regrets as well. But leave me some comments below. Let me know what your biggest regrets are financially and what you did to fix them so that somebody else watching this video can read and learn from them as well. As you know, I'm very into education and very into people learning from us and the stupid decisions we made so they don't make the same decisions again. Until I see you next time, guys, please stay positive, work really, really hard, be kind to others, and I hope with that you have a really, really easy day.